Hello and welcome to SPINALpedia's Disability Employment Success Stories. My name is Tiffany Carlson and I am the Executive Director of SPINALpedia. Today we are joined by John where are you from, John?
From Cumberland, Maryland.
From Cumberland, Maryland. And so we are super excited to share John's employment journey with you. So thank you again, John, for taking the time to
You're
share
welcome.
what you're doing with your life after your injury and going back to work. I know it probably wasn't easy. So let's start by talking about your disability, if you don't mind. If you have a spinal cord injury, can you tell us about how your injury occurred?
Yes. At the age of 18, 2 weeks after I graduated high school, I dove in a swimming pool off of a roof and became disabled immediately. I'm a C6, C7 complete quadriplegic.
Yep. Okay. And
That
so,
happened on June 19th, 1994. So this year was 25 years.
wow,
Yeah.
that's a long time.
Yeah.
So you were how old at the time of your injury?
18, 2 weeks after graduating high school.
Wow, wow. So how long then did it take for you to start working again after your injury?
I spent approximately probably 4 months, 5 months between hospital and rehab and got out at the age of 18. And of course, at
Yeah.
18, with a traumatic injury like that, you never know what entails for you. And the last thing I thought about was going back to college because I didn't like school to begin with,
Yeah.
when I was in school. So the last thing I was going to do was go back to school
Yeah.
and kind of fought that for a couple years and just kind of maybe trying to find my way. I mean, not knowing that, many different things that you go through at that time, especially at a young age, and have something catastrophic happen to you. And think about, maybe the depression that you fought and not thinking that you have, just the different things when somebody says, oh, well, maybe you're depressed and that, and you fight that and don't really
Yeah.
know about it. Well, I did that for probably maybe 5 years or so. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm getting older. All my friends are getting older, I'm 24, 25. And
Mm-hmm.
what am I going to do with my life? Do
Yeah.
I want to live in a small apartment? Do I want to live off of Social Security the rest of my life?
Mm-hmm.
The things that all you're going to do is maintain your whole life and not really have anything.
Right.
So I decided to, I actually live in Frostburg and decided to go to our local university, Frostburg State, and
Cool.
start to enroll in school. At that time, I also became familiar with Center for Independent Living here,
Yeah.
Resources for Independence. So I was able to enroll in school, and the first thing you think of is somebody that's disabled and wheelchair bound and not able to do a lot of physical labor and manual work, which that's what I was used to.
Yeah.
Was okay, what is a person with some kind of disability that you can't do physical work? How are you going to market yourself? So the first thing you think of is computers. You
Mm-hmm.
sit behind a desk and you can run a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started, I took 2 semesters of that and thought, no way.
Okay.
Just because you'll never quit going to school with working any kind of web design, or because computers are, the way modern tech or the assistive technology is now today. It's
Mm-hmm.
you always have to keep up on all that.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
really wasn't for me, but I was doing it. But in the meantime, the great thing that happened was the Center for Independent Living contacted me and asked if I would come and apply for a 3-year grant that they had
Okay.
for a nursing home transition specialist.
Ah, cool.
So, me thinking, I'm like, you know what? I haven't had any schooling, anything like that, any social work, psychology classes, anything when it comes to working for Center for Independent Living. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, I'll go to the interview and see how it goes. This was back in 2002.
Okay.
So in doing that, when I went in, I met with the executive director and I told her plain out, I don't have a background in saying, social work or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that to say that,
Mm-hmm.
that I can market myself other than I live this every day, I breathe it every day, and I
Yeah.
connect with other people.
Yeah.
So of saying all that, I was hired for the job.
Awesome. Mhm.
So the great thing with my story is that so I started that job in 2002 and was still going to school full time and working part time doing that.
Oh, wow.
So the summer or the spring semester ended in 2002. So at that time it was we had summer break. So there was an opportunity that they had to let go of the uh, an individual in the office, and I said, hey, I said, I could come in the office and answer phones and things like that, and during
Yeah.
the summer, because this was things that I thought I'll give it a shot. I don't really know. Can I file papers? Can I answer phones?
Mhm.
Can I do things like that? So
Yeah.
in the meantime, doing that, within 2 weeks, I said, look, I said, this job that I'm doing now as a part time is going to end in 3 years. I
Mhm.
actually enjoy this. I wasn't really working one on one with individuals with disabilities, but I was surrounded by,
Yeah.
advocacy and things like that for individuals
Yeah.
with disabilities. And I said, I think I could do the full time job and would really like to work full time with that.
Cool.
And I was given the job to do that, and then we rehired for the nursing home transition specialist.
Nice.
So it was like it kind of like all came together all at one time, and I just kind of transitioned in to working full time at a center for independent living,
Wow.
working with other individuals with disabilities. So
Gosh.
that was just it was just like I was never a firm believer like you are at certain places at certain times in your life, and it's like not every day that's that you would say,
Yeah.
but certain days it's like you just are right there at that time, and I was able to copy papers, I was able to
Yeah.
file things,
See?
and
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot of accommodations
Okay.
other than I'm 6'5", so I sit fairly tall in a power chair, so everything had to
Mhm.
be lifted instead of
Oh,
lowered.
wow. Yeah. That
So we
sucks.
were at first we lifted a desk up and put it on cement blocks.
Oh, smart.
So
Yep.
out of that, we actually designed the whole desk that I'm sitting at now. That everything is all the way around me, and I can turn all the way around and reach everything at a higher level. So my accommodations actually was only that.
That's
But
nice.
it was just like everything blossomed as started off as you started off as just like a small little branch,
Yeah.
and for me this has been 18 19 years that I've grown other branches off of just through the agency I work at, and I've had probably an easier opportunity of transitioning back into the work field compared to maybe some others. But
Yeah.
it was just I was at the right place at the right time,
Yep.
and my boss, which is still here too, she she always kept saying, "I saw something in you the day that you come in," but you've taken that from there, and it was just like I gave you the keys to the car. How are you going to drive the car?
Well, your
And
job sounds really cool. I was gonna ask if you could tell us just a little bit more about what you do in your position, because 'cause I'm kinda
yes,
curious.
so I started out as administrative assistant,
Okay.
and I was answering phones and doing all the day-to-day stuff. Well, I wanted to get into the hands-on.
Yeah.
So the great thing is for me, I started at the bottom and I went through every position we've had, and now I'm the assistant director.
Okay.
So over the years, you went through every position. So which is
Yeah.
really unique for me that I was able to do everything from answering the phones to filing papers to now doing multiple different things with my job. And a couple of the unique things I get to do is now we have a fee for service through the Department of Disabilities, or
Mhm.
not Department of Disabilities, sorry, Division of Rehabilitation Service, or both rehab.
Yep.
And what we do is we have an agreement through them to help other individuals with disabilities find jobs. So that's one thing
Awesome.
I get to do. So I get to give back of how you know I've been able to be in the community and help other individuals and have been successful with that. And the great thing is, it's not only individuals with physical disabilities, it's cognitive disabilities, it's,
Very
you know,
cool.
any disability spectrum whatsoever. So it's not like I'm just working with others
Mhm.
exactly like me, but able to help other people come back in the community and contribute as well. And I'm kind of known in the community, so it gives me a little kind of an insight to be able to help place other individuals in positions. And I always tell the individuals I help, you know, I get you to the point to where here's your interview.
Mhm.
You're the one that you market yourself to get the job. I didn't get you the job. I
Right.
just get you there, and it goes from that from you. So
That's
it's not
pretty
like
cool.
I ever say I get you the job. It's you get yourself the job. I can just get you the interview.
That's pretty
So
cool. I
that's
like that.
one of the things that I really cherish and take
Do you
personally.
do you work 40 hours a week and go into the office every day?
Well, the thing is, I work 3 jobs, so I
Okay.
work probably 70 hours a week,
Mm.
maybe a little bit more, a little less, depending. My full-time job is working for the Center for Independent Living, which is
Okay.
Resources for Independence,
Yeah.
and we cover Allegheny, Garrett, and Washington County in Maryland. There's 7 CILs in Maryland, and we cover the far western counties in Maryland.
Okay.
So that's my full-time job, and that's a regular 40-hour-a-week job. Well, we actually work 35 hours a week for full-time.
Okay.
And then I sell durable medical equipment on the side, and who better to be able to sell that than somebody
Cool.
that actually used durable medical equipment? So I
And
work for a company called Americal Healthcare, and they're out of Millersville, Maryland,
okay.
and everything is all drop shipped to your house. So um,
How do you do sales? Do you have to do you all from home, or do you have an office for that job
well,
too?
no, I actually wear multiple hats all at the same time.
Mhm.
And I'm known in the community, so I get to talk to other individuals. And the
Mhm.
good thing is, being at the job I'm at, I get to also am integrated with other individuals with kind of the same things or others.
Okay.
So
Oh
then
yeah.
I also explain, hey, you know, I also sell durable medical equipment, just like our friend Josh Basil. He actually gets all his durable medical equipment through me.
All right.
So I get to the good thing is with being the salesman through that is I'm known with other individuals that need the same kind of things that I do.
That's
And
awesome.
it's a great company to work for, and loved it. They've given me the opportunity to do this over 10 years now, and I've done that. And then
Do you telecommute, or do you go to an office every day?
I do not. It's all by phone, and
Okay.
then I call in the office once I get new referrals, and
Awesome.
then we deal everything like that. So I honestly I've never even been at the main headquarters. I mean, I've
That's
done
so
this for 10
nice.
years through them,
So
and they're pretty much based in Annapolis in that area, and
cool.
so we ship all over.
Your
And
full
then
time, sorry to interrupt, but your full time job, do you go into the office every day for that?
yes, I do. Every day I'm
Oh,
in the office. That's actually where I'm at now doing the interview.
was that hard to do? Like, figuring
Well,
out like your PCA schedule and all that?
that was, you know, like I said, the sky kind of opened up and it all fell into place
Mhm.
at the same time that I was getting hired through resources. I was also looking at trying to learn to go to drive.
Okay,
So
cool.
that was another one of my goals through division rehabilitation services,
Mhm.
was learning how to drive. So it was all coming all together at the same
Right.
time, not
Yeah.
knowing that what was going to happen. So at that time, I started doing my goals of doing my driving.
Cool.
So at the time I was hired, I was in the process of looking at buying a van. So
Okay.
now here I come, I got income that I'm
Yep.
able to get a van and start paying on the van
Yeah.
and being able to drive. So
Nice.
the great thing is for me compared to somebody else, you know, we live up here in Western Maryland. There's not a lot of public transportation or
Mhm.
accessible transportation.
Right.
So
That's
that's our
common.
biggest barrier, being up in the Western Maryland part compared to being in the metro area,
That's
to
great.
where there's multiple different avenues of trying to get somewhere accessible. Where we only have like one transit unit, and you never know if the person may be trained on trying to get you on, or
Right.
they pass you up because they see you're in a wheelchair. You
You
know,
know,
you hear all that stuff.
what's your
So
what's your third job?
my third job is I work for the Ark of Frederick, which
Okay.
They work with individuals with special needs and developmental disabilities and stuff like that. And I call it more for me because I'm more of a peer. It's more of a, to me, it's more of a peer-to-peer mentoring
That's
compared to
awesome.
being a job. They call it a residential coach.
That's so
But
cool.
through the ARC, they don't ever want you to go out and say, well, I'm working with so and so. This is my friend. This is my buddy. We're here together. We're just socializing together. So that's
Yeah,
all it is getting them back out and, and teach the
that's great.
inclusion and socialization.
How did
And
you I love that you're so busy. That's crazy. I mean, you are 3 jobs really, 70
yeah,
hours a week. I was
yep.
gonna say, how did you request your accommodations for that desk? Did you just go ahead and ask your boss and say, "This is what I need"? What kind of advice would you give on anyone worried about,
Yeah.
approaching?
See, the great thing is with my boss, she was all in on what I needed.
Okay.
And some bosses, the first thing is, the first thing you see visual, oh my, we got somebody in a wheelchair.
Right.
We're going to have to, fully blow out everything
Yep.
in the office. That's not true.
Yep.
Most of the things you need, I mean, of course, it's on one floor, but an accessible bathroom and an accessible room for you to get in and out of. And that's been a great thing for me working for a Center for Independent Living and not working in the corporate field to
Mhm.
know, hey, this is stuff that we need to be doing anyway. And these are the things that we need to be teaching the corporate, in which I've done that as well, of going to
Cool.
places and saying, hey, we need an accessible bathroom. And if it doesn't happen, I mean, I've done the avenues of actually filing complaints and
Oh, you
things like
have?
that. And
Really?
it's not that I go in angry with it. I always go in nice and say, look, I can give you some suggestions. That's another part of my job that I do through resources
Mhm.
is we have a grant through doors, and it's an assistive technology independent living grant. So with that is we're able to help individuals that are referred to us with uh, minor modifications with bathrooms, ramps,
Cool.
minor vehicle modifications, assistive technology, anything like that for any types of disabilities. The only bad thing is with our program, we only get a small amount of money from the state,
Mm.
and we have more referrals than we have money.
That's sad. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did start a charity golf tournament 9 years ago,
That's
and
great.
it has grown tremendously over the 9 years in support for my community, for me, and we profited almost $19,000 this past year for this tournament.
Wow,
And
congratulations. That's
yeah, and
awesome.
all that money goes 100% back out with the money that we get from the state to try to get our list down. Because the bad thing is now, we get individuals calling, we're coming out of the nursing home, we're coming out of rehab,
Mhm.
and it takes me 2 to 3 years before I can get to them.
Isn't that sad? Oh my
It's very
god.
sad.
That is so
For a
sad.
ramp, that says this is all I need to get back into my home, and it's 2 to 3 years before I can help. And we're the only
Wow,
show in town that can do anything.
that's
So,
terrible.
yeah.
All right. Well, I have a few more questions for you.
Fine. Yes.
So what do you like most about your job and just, being employed? I think for some people, maybe they're like, I don't really want to work. Maybe they feel like it's too stressful. But for you, what do you like about it?
Well, first, I want to share one thing from one gentleman that I helped get that helped get a job. I
Mhm.
put him out there for
Yeah.
a job, and all he told me was, he said, "I want to pay taxes. I want to pay taxes. I want to contribute."
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, I want to contribute, but there's things that I want.
Right. Yeah.
I wanted to move out of that small apartment. Now I own my own home. I have 2 vehicles. I
Awesome.
work for everything I have.
Feels
But
good.
I think for what it does to me, it's improved my quality of life
Mhm.
because now I'm so busy. I'm not home. I don't think about the pain that I'm in every day. My
That's
pain
good.
management is work, and the more I work, the less I think of the pain. My
Right.
downtime is when I have all my neuropathy pain, and I
Mm.
figured that
Yeah.
out over the years. This is how I deal with that. But I love to contribute and I love to work because you know it, as most people don't understand how expensive something is
Oh
when
yeah.
it comes to being disabled. As soon
Very
as you
true.
put that tag on it, that's usually one person sells this thing, and they can charge you whatever they want to get it.
Pretty much.
I have 2 vehicles. The one I had help with through Division Rehabilitation Services, they put $50,000 of modifications in the vehicle, and the other one I couldn't get help with them because I've already had help once. So I
Right.
paid $53,000 myself, which didn't pay for it. I'm still paying on it for 10
Oh,
years, but that's 53,000 out of my pocket. But if I don't go, I don't get paid. So I have to have a backup vehicle to say I can go. So
wow.
I guess working for me, that are things that I'm able to have. And I want other people to be able to contribute and be able to get those things as well.
That's so
So
cool. So you kind of already answered my other question was why do you think being employed with a disability is important? But for you, you already answered that.
yeah,
It's good to give back. And for you,
yeah,
I know I work a lot too, and it feels good to be busy, doesn't it? It's
it
really,
does. It
really
feels
good.
good to, I don't want to say normalcy,
Yeah,
but to be back to being quote normal, to
exactly.
a point that, hey, you're standing, but I'm right beside you and I'll work beside you. It might be in a different way, but
Yeah.
I will put my 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours in right beside you. It'll just be a little bit different than what you're doing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
don't feel bad. So, if you have to go to if you have to go back to work part-time, or maybe
Yeah.
you need to work from home. I mean, there's ways to do it, and
It,
you're really motivating. So I have one more question for
no
you,
problem.
which is basically, so what advice then would you give to people with disabilities who want to work, but maybe are not quite sure? Like, what advice would you give to someone?
Well, the good thing is now, and Josh and I have been dealing this with for a little while. With there's an incentive out there for individuals with disabilities to work now,
Hmm.
compared to the old saying was, oh, I'm getting Social Security disability. Oh, I can't go to work. Well,
Yep.
that's not the case anymore. You can still collect disability and still
Yep.
work some hours.
Yep.
So not everybody can work full time or wants to work full time.
Yep.
But if you're able to get back and contribute and be able to get a little bit more out of still keep your base income and still get more out of that.
Yep.
But there's also a program out there called Employed Individuals with Disabilities, the
Yep.
EID program.
Yep.
So Josh and I, it's a great program through the state of Maryland, but it's a great incentive to a point. So it's like, so I want to, so you want to go back to school and you want to become a lawyer or a physician or anything like that, which is totally doable, even though if you're quadriplegic or
Yep.
whatever. So they are nice paying jobs. So the state of Maryland says after $70,000, we have nowhere for you to go and be
Really?
able to still get nursing care and care for your wheelchairs, things like that.
Okay.
So the great thing is with Josh and I partnering together, and Josh being more down in the Metro Baltimore area is
Hmm.
more linked to everything. We are at the table to try to change all of those rules and regulation they have to raise them to be able to say, hey, I can compete with you and be a lawyer and make six figures, but still be able to keep nursing care that I need and not have to pay $50,000 out of my pay. So
Yeah.
for me to say to somebody, no matter what type of disability you have, if you want to work from home, because there's so much modern technology, as you know,
It's
there's no problem working from
no,
home.
it's
And
a yeah, it's a game changer for a lot of people being able to
it
work
really
from
is.
home. Hmm.
Well, it gives you a self worth to get out of bed every day. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Before I went to work, I'd lay in bed. I'd call my personal provider and be like, I come at 11, come at 9, come at 10. 6 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm awake. I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's get
Let's
up.
do
I got to get
this.
my day.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it just gives you back of this happened to me at 18, and I worked and was very successful in things, but it gave me that my structure back of being able to to work again, to feel like, man, no matter what happened to me, I'm still able to contribute back and not just live off the system the rest of my life. And because all you do is you get paid and it goes right back out. You
Yeah.
get paid, it goes right back out. There's no
Nothing happens.
saving.
I
There's
know.
no vacations. There's no vehicles.
Nothing.
Things like that. And
Hmm.
the great thing is for me, for from 2002 to current, I've been able to work for everything I have and own my own home, and to be able to do that. And never thought at 18 when the doctor says, the first thing it says, 99% you're never going to walk again. You may die from this surgery. You may never talk. To say, I have a voice. I'm not walking, but I'm still able to contribute just as I was an individual that was walking.
That's beautiful.
And every year, I grasp a little bit more. I'm still learning. no
Yeah.
matter what. It's 25 years. I'm an old guy learning now, but I'm still learning, and
That's so
I
great.
still, yeah.
I can't believe you've been working 3 jobs. You're making me look like I need to get another job over here.
Uh,
So thank you so much,
yeah, thank
John.
you.
Thank you for sharing your employment journey with us. And
Yes,
your employment journey is sure to help so many people out there with their
yeah.
future
Yeah.
disability employment journey themselves. So thank you as well.
Thank
And,
you.
yeah, all the best. All right. Thank you,
All right,
John.
Tiffany. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.